Welcome to this introductory training course in Agile Project Management, the certified approach to running projects in an agile way, which has been developed jointly by APMG International and the DSDM Consortium. Once you have completed this course, you will have an appreciation of what the Agile movement is all about, understand the principles of the Agile approach, and know how those principles apply to the management of projects. You will also understand the essential differences in management style between Agile projects and those run on traditional lines. The course aims to provide you with sufficient knowledge to successfully take the APMG's Foundation examination in Agile Project Management and thereby become qualified at that level. When you have completed this first session of the course, you will know the background and history of the Agile movement and be able to identify the key organizations involved. Be familiar with the Agile Manifesto and recognize the 12 principles of Agile software. Understand the relationship between Agile and DSDM, and be able to explain the philosophy and principles of the DSDM Pattern Development Method. To understand the full history and background to Agile PM, you have to go all the way back to the early 1990s. At that time, most software development projects followed the so-called waterfall approach. This is a linear or sequential approach to development, where the project is broken down into several distinct stages. For example, initiation, analysis, design, coding, testing, and maintenance. The idea was that the project would flow from one stage to the next, a bit like a waterfall, with each stage having to be completed and signed off before the next stage could begin. Many of the systems development and project management methods that existed at the time were based on this kind of approach and tended to be very prescriptive and bureaucratic in their nature. And there was another problem with this way of doing things. Problems, errors, or even just good ideas which came up in later stages became very difficult to overcome or incorporate, because that would entail reopening earlier stages which had been closed down. It didn't allow for the fact that the customer for the project may not fully know what they wanted until they saw some of the early prototypes coming out of the implementation phase. By the early 90s, technology was moving on at an ever faster pace, and businesses generally were looking for software solutions to be delivered in days and weeks rather than the traditional months and years that IT departments were accustomed to taking. The first serious attempt to address these problems and speed up the development process came with the Rapid Application Development Method, or RAD. RAD's approach was to minimize upfront planning and design in order to move quickly to prototyping and use an iterative cycle to develop and refine the solution to meet the business need as quickly as possible. As RAD gained momentum in the marketplace, many vendors released so-called RAD products, and consultants came up with their own interpretation of RAD concepts. But there was no industry standard to define exactly what a RAD framework looked like. In order to satisfy this need for standardization, the Dynamic System Development Method, or DSDM, was introduced by the DSDM Consortium, a group of UK-based software developers who formed a not-for-profit organisation with the aim of developing and promoting an independent RAD framework. DSDM became the foremost of many so-called, at the time, lightweight methods and techniques that arose in the wake of the RAD movement. They attracted this name in order to differentiate them from the heavyweight methods, such as SSADM, that were associated with the waterfall approaches. Other lightweight methods, such as extreme programming or XP, lean software development, and Scrum, are still very much part of the Agile family, and we will be looking at Scrum in particular later in the course. In 2001, a group of representatives from XP, Scrum, DSDM and several other lightweight approaches met in a ski resort in Utah with the aim of finding common ground and attempting to agree a framework for their activities. One of the first things they agreed on was that they didn't much like being called lightweight. Agile sounded much better, and so the outcome of the meeting was a document called A Manifesto for Agile Software Development, now usually just called the Agile Manifesto. In order to promote the Agile Manifesto and encourage the spread of agile methods of software development, they formed the Agile Alliance, a non-profit organisation committed to advancing agile principles and practices worldwide. The Agile Manifesto is really a statement of values, which in summary says that individuals and interactions are more important than processes and tools. Working software is preferable to comprehensive documentation. Customer collaboration is better than contract negotiation. And responding to change has more value than following a plan. That is not to say that the items on the right have no value, just that in Agile, the items on the left take precedence. The Agile Alliance have produced a set of 12 Agile principles, which are listed here. Let's try a few exam-style multiple-choice questions. Select the answer you believe to be correct and click Submit. Yes, that is the correct answer. No, we still don't agree. The correct answer is being displayed now. Yes, that is the correct answer. Returning to DSDM, the DSDM consortium continued to develop and improve the method over the years, with the latest version being released in 2007 and called DSDM Tern. The word Tern is derived from the bird, the Arctic tern, which is an agile, long-distance flyer, and was felt to share many characteristics with DSDM. In 2010, the DSDM consortium decided to extract the exclusively project management-related parts of the DSDM Tern method and launched Agile Project Management, or Agile PM to give it its trade name. They worked in collaboration with APMG International to produce the Agile Project Management Handbook, and it is APMG who accredit training organizations and supervise the examination and certification processes. Agile PM should therefore be viewed as a subset of DSDM Tern, which, whilst developed very much with IT software development projects in mind, can be readily applied in more general business projects, with perhaps little or no IT content. The philosophy behind Tern is based on the pragmatic reality that, in most cases, 80% of the business benefit of any project can be achieved relatively easily and quickly. Achieving the remaining 20% will usually take a disproportionately longer time and higher cost. So the focus of Tern is to ensure the early delivery of the most significant business benefits. If delivering a 100% solution would involve extending the timescale of the project, then the less important features will be dropped so that the business can get the truly important benefits without delay. In this regard, Tern turns the traditional view of project management on its head. Traditional project management starts out by defining the features that are to be delivered, the quality requirements of those features, and then the estimated cost and timescales to deliver those features. As the project progresses, the features and quality requirements are generally taken as fixed, but the project's cost and timescales will be seen as variable or negotiable depending on how well or how badly the project goes. Tern takes exactly the opposite approach and agrees the timescale and costs very early in the project, along with the required quality standard. The requirements or features are prioritized, and the minimum usable subset of these will be confirmed. If problems occur during the project, then the time and cost elements are kept fixed, and the lesser important features will be dropped so that the original deadlines can be achieved. The on-time delivery of a working but less than 100% solution is seen as being preferable to the late delivery of everything. An essential requirement of the ATM philosophy is the buy-in of the key stakeholders to the realities that it enshrines. They must understand the business objectives and priorities, accept that change is inevitable, and be willing to accept a fit-for-purpose solution in the event that a bells and whistles one proves too time-consuming or costly. So the ATM philosophy is supported by a set of 8 basic principles, which need to be applied for the project to achieve maximum benefit. Principle number 1 emphasizes the need to focus on the business need. Under this principle, every decision which is taken during the project must be viewed against the overarching project goal, which is to deliver the maximum benefit to the business in the shortest possible time. This principle requires that all the teams within an ATM project fully understand the true business priorities, establish a sound business case for the work they are doing, seek continuous business sponsorship and commitment, and can guarantee the minimum usable subset of features that have been agreed. Later in the course, we will be looking at specific business roles and products that enable ATM to fulfill this principle, as well as supporting techniques such as time boxing and Moscow prioritization. The second ATM principle says deliver on time. Time, in other words deadlines, are viewed as being non-negotiable in ATM. On-time delivery is very often the most important success factor, and late delivery can undermine the rationale for the project. Here again, time boxing and Moscow prioritization can help ATM teams to build a reputation for timeliness and reliability of product delivery. The third principle states the importance of collaboration. Collaborate. For a team to make progress, all members must be pulling in the same direction, and for the project as a whole to be successful, all the teams within it must be aligned and directed towards their common goal. Teams that work in an active spirit of mutual cooperation will always produce better results more quickly than loosely associated or uncoordinated teams. This principle requires teams to involve the right stakeholders at the right time throughout the project, ensure that team members are empowered to make decisions, actively involve business representatives, and build a one-team culture across the project's organization. In order to support this principle, ATM provides various business roles and the facilitated workshop technique, which we will be exploring later in the course. ATM's fourth principle is never compromise quality. Whilst features are viewed as being a possible variable in ATM, quality certainly is not. The required quality level should be agreed at the start of the project, and all work should be directed at achieving that level. No more, no less. In order to satisfy this principle, ATM teams will need to design, document and test appropriately, and build in quality by constant review. Early and ongoing testing will ensure the quality of the evolving solution and avoid the occurrence of nasty surprises at later stages. ATM supports this principle by providing various business and technical testing products and regular reviews throughout the life cycle. Principle number 5 says that ATM teams should build incrementally from firm foundations. ATM satisfies the Agile requirement for early business benefits by advocating incremental delivery of products. In other words, get the basic product working as quickly as possible, demonstrate it to the relevant stakeholders, and based on their feedback, refine and improve the product until it satisfies the business requirement. This way of working is sometimes referred to as enough design up front, as opposed to the big design up front of traditional approaches, or no design up front of most other Agile approaches. In order to satisfy this principle, ATM teams will strive for early achievement of business benefits where possible, continually confirm and correct the solution being built, and formally reassess priorities and the ongoing viability of the project with each delivered increment. The main support for this principle comes from the ATERN life cycle itself, which we'll be looking at in detail in the next session. The sixth principle is really an extension of number 5 and says deliver iteratively. You will often hear ATERN being described as an incremental and iterative method. This particular principle reflects the reality that very few things, software or otherwise, are built perfectly the very first time. The ATERN approach relies on iteration to embrace change and produce a better solution. This principle requires teams to do enough design up front to build strong foundations, take an iterative approach to building products, build customer feedback into each iteration, accept that fine detail will emerge later rather than sooner, embrace change as a necessary part of arriving at the right solution, and to be creative, learn and evolve. Iteration and constant review are ATERN's way of ensuring that the most appropriate solution is arrived at. The only things that cannot change on an ATERN project are time and cost. Principle number 7 stresses the importance of communication in a project. Communicate continuously and clearly. Poor communication is a very common cause of failure in projects. ATERN provides techniques that are specifically designed to improve communications within teams, between teams, and between the project and the outside world. ATERN teams satisfy this principle by running daily stand-up sessions, an idea adopted from the Scrum technique for managing teams, using facilitated workshops, employing rich communication techniques such as modeling and prototyping, keeping documentation lean and timely, managing stakeholder expectations throughout the project, and encouraging informal, face-to-face communication at all levels. ATERN emphasizes the value of human interaction and modeling to achieve early visibility of the end solution. Such techniques are far more effective than large volumes of text. Finally, the 8th and last principle is demonstrate control. Projects must be in control at all times, and if you are the project manager or a team leader, being in control is not enough. You must be able to prove that you're in control. To fulfill this principle, all ATERN team members must use an appropriate level of formality for tracking and reporting. Make plans and progress against plans visible to all. Measure progress in terms of delivered products rather than completed activities. Manage proactively and evaluate continuing project viability based on the business objectives. The key control technique that ATERN provides is time boxing, and various products such as management foundations and time box plans. So, there we have the full set of 8 principles on which ATERN and therefore Agile PM is based. Non-adherence or breakage of any one of these principles should be treated as a risk to the Agile process and ultimately the success of the project. Let's try a few exam-style multiple-choice questions. Select the answer you believe to be correct and click Submit. No, we don't agree. Have another go. No, we still don't agree. The correct answer is being displayed now. Yes, that is the correct answer. No, we don't agree. Have another go. Yes, that is the correct answer. In this first session, we have looked at the history of Agile PM and how it has emerged from the Agile products and initiatives of the 1990s, in particular, the DSDM methodology for running IT software development projects. We have seen how the DSDM consortium produced Agile PM as a subset of the latest release of DSDM Aturn, and how they have collaborated with APMG International to produce the handbook and qualification standards. We have looked at the role of the Agile Alliance and their Agile Manifesto, and how they have backed this up with 12 principles, which characterize Agile management. DSDM Aturn uses Agile principles as the basis for its own philosophy, which is focused on delivering the greatest business benefit in the shortest possible time. Underpinning this philosophy are the 8 Aturn principles. The whole Aturn structure is then supported by a project life cycle or process, a set of roles and responsibilities or people, defined products, and a range of techniques or practices. Subsequent sessions will examine each of these supporting pillars in greater detail.